I think sometimes we overcomplicate the idea of journaling. I sat down for a little while and I came up with a little list of fun ways to journal that are just not writing the day and writing what's gone on. Just different ways to kind of switch up your journaling routine, just in case you've been feeling a little bored with it, or just you want to try something new, or you've been wanting to maybe get into journaling but you don't know how to begin. Welcome. The first method of journaling is comic book journaling. I first saw this as a Pinterest post and it kind of blew my mind because I'm like, why did I never think of this? You can journal using comics, like actually draw comics with your day. And I remember making a TikTok about this, and people are like, wow, wow. And someone actually gave me a review after they tried it, and they said that it was a really fun activity to do with someone else because it really isn't vulnerable in the sense of like how you journal about an emotional day. It feels like the kind of activity you can just do to recollect your day, not really to write or put in emotions and details about your day, because that's kind of hard to do when you're sketching, unless you are like a pro level artist or just really artistic. If so, like go for it. But if you just want to put down basic details of your day, it is the easiest way to do it. It's a fun way to do it. You can add color, you can decide not to have color, and even if you have no artistic experience, like you can draw a stick man. I bet you can draw a stick man. Literally just circle, line, 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 dot dot, smile. Literally just that. You can just use this to have memories of your days, because I don't know if I'm the only one who forgets what I do on a daily basis. Like if you ask me what I was doing yesterday at 12, it'll take me some time to remember, and I don't like that. So if you want to stabilize or reinforce your memory of things that you do on a daily basis, you can have this as a nice form of journaling. And if you just want an activity where you can engage with multiple people, you can have this as a really nice bonding activity, because the person who gave me this review did it with their girlfriend, so it was like a nice fun activity to bond with someone that you love. Number two is audio journaling. I began watching Twin Peaks the other day, and it's a really interesting film because it's very slow, and every episode is like 1.5 hours. So it's really training my attention span. But aside from that, there's this character who is the detective in the show, and he carries around these old video recorders, voice recorders that were used in the field by detectives and such people. And he's always talking to this person known as Diane. So in every other episode, you just see him pick up the audio recorder and he presses play and he presses record and he's like, Diane, we are now opening evidence box number 62. Diane, I'm now eating pancakes in this resort. Diane, I've just tried this cherry pie from this restaurant, which is the best I've ever tried. And when I was watching that, I know it's a form of documentation, I think, for his work as a detective. But when I was watching that, I was like, that's such a cool way of journaling. And I noticed that I've done it a couple of times when I had like a lot to say and I did not have the willpower to write all about it, because sometimes that does hinder journaling. So you can record audios of yourself. Just pick your phone or whatever recording device you want to use and record yourself talking. And I think it's a really, really effective method. One, because it's easy to look back on. You just play the audio. You might be walking, doing something, doing chores. You decide, let me look back on my journal entries. But it is very vulnerable because your voice, your emotions can be heard. And sometimes, if you're not really used to the practice of journaling, it might be hard to see yourself having emotional reactions, which later on don't really make sense. You know, you freak out about something, but later on it's like, why was I freaking out? And now, when you're writing about it, at least it's in written form. You can try and explain the emotions, but you do not have the raw evidence of your voice and your thoughts in the moment, like with your tone and your intonation and your actual voice. But if you're recording through audio journaling, you have that. So sometimes it can be a bit, I don't want to say cringy, because I'm trying to get out of that mindset of seeing past emotions as cringy. But sometimes you can feel a little bit awkward listening to these audio journals. But I feel like it's a really nice way to record moments. You can even do this with friends. Like when you're out with your friends and you're having a really nice moment, you just pick your phone and you press record. You don't even have to tell on your recording, but you can tell them for consent, just to have their consent. But sometimes It's so interesting to just record the raw sounds which are going on, people talking, people making jokes. When you later come to listen to it, it feels like you're being immersed in that moment once again. I really, really enjoy this form of journaling. I do it a lot when I'm with my sisters because we just sometimes have the best conversations ever. So I just press my phone to record for like 5 minutes, and I label it so that I can be able to remember it. I feel like with audio journaling, you have to have a certain system of naming them so that you can be able to have things organized. That's if you like things organized, which I really do. And also so that you do not lose your audio recordings as you maybe free up space, you might find yourself deleting them without even knowing. Don't leave them saved as recording number 26. Like actually give it a name, describe what is happening, put the date on it so that you can be able to actually find the things that you're looking for. Yeah, it's a really interesting form of journaling. And another one that I will not put as a separate point, but just put it together with this one is video journaling. Video journaling is so interesting. I think I've done it like twice because it just requires so much space, which I really do not have. It helps that I put my videos out there. So some of these are actually video journals, but I get to put them out there and free up the space from my devices. But video journaling is better than audio journaling because you can be able to see the visual cues, you can be able to see the environment. It gives a clearer picture of what is going on, the context and everything else. But it takes more space. You know, you're not just talking for 1 minute, you're probably talking for like 10 minutes. And 10 minutes is like a GB of space, which I don't know if you have such kind of space, all the best. Please go with it. It's so fun, it's so easy. And I feel like you can find platforms where you can post them privately. Maybe open a private YouTube channel just for yourself to post your video diaries, but I don't know how secure that is. So do your research before you try this one. Number three is poetry journaling. I did poetry journaling a lot, especially in high school. I actually had one journal where I was just doing poetry journaling. And the reason why I feel like it's so easy to do, firstly, poetry journaling is just where you write down your thoughts in form of short sentences, which kind of look like a poem. They do not have to rhyme, they do not have to have assonance, consonants, and all these poetic devices, but they can have them. Like it's totally up to you. You can just choose to freestyle it, like I used to do. But you know, sometimes when you're writing, you kind of end up rhyming without knowing it. I sometimes do. So it was really so fun to try this method because my thoughts would come out easily. Instead of writing, today I am feeling so sad, like the way we normally journal, you can just create a line which is kind of not direct, but you yourself will be able to understand it later. And I feel like this is one of the reasons why I really enjoyed poetry journaling because even if I wrote the poems a long time ago, reading them right now, I can understand the hidden clues, I can understand what I meant by phrases which did not seem completely clear. So I just love doing it. And sometimes when you go back to look through your old poems that you wrote, you find one liners or two liners which are just perfect, which you can take out and have as a separate quote. I love doing this. I absolutely love doing it. It's one of my favorite pastime activities, just going through my old journals and poetry journals specifically and picking out those two lines which sound like they can just be a quote which you can use somewhere else. The next idea I got from a YouTube video by Iman. Shout out to Iman. I love her videos, they're so cozy. And the idea is journaling through bedroom pictures or journaling through pictures of your lived spaces. This is such an interesting concept, and I just love it so much because it's so real. Basically, you're supposed to take a photo of your most lived in space. That is, if it's your bedroom, the place you spend the most time in. If it's your bedroom, if it's maybe your kitchen, your living room, your desk area, the place where there's a lot of evidence of your presence, you're supposed to take photos of that. And you can even take photos of your wardrobe, coming to think of it, because wardrobes are pretty messy most of the times, and that's kind of like what we're going for. So basically, you're supposed to take pictures of your lived space, your most commonly lived space, every you can choose an interval every week, every month, every other day, and have that as an evidence of what was going on in your life at the time. We do not realize it, but pictures hold so much evidence. That's why even in crime scenes, they first take photos before anyone tampers with anything. They take photos because pictures hold a lot of evidence about what was going on, who was there, what headspace were they in. Small, small details in a photo can tell you so much about someone, about something, about the time, about the age. Maybe you take a photo of your desk every month, and this month there's a different book on the table. This other month there's a cup of coffee. This other month there's just different scattered things. Maybe you have a lot of assignments, your books are scattered everywhere. And later on, looking at those photos, you can be able to deduce what is going on. It kind of feels like a reverse detective game where you know what is going on in your life at this moment. You take a photo of your desk, and then 8 months later, it's your job to be the detective to try and figure out what state of mind you are in, etc. I feel like it's such an interesting method, and it's so easy to do. It doesn't even involve any kind of vulnerability, which most people are usually afraid of when it comes to journaling. It's just simple, just take a photo, and you don't even have to deduce the photo at that moment, but later on, looking back at it, you can be able to see what space you are in. I love this one so much. You can even do taking photos of yourself. Just take photos of something which kind of represents you. Disclaimer, some of these methods I've just come up with them over time as I've tried different journaling methods. So some of them are not actually methods which exist, like you cannot actually go online and search them up. So they're kind of niche in a way. Number five is fiction, or I want to call it romance journaling, romantic journaling. You see, if you've ever read books which are romantic, like the style of writing is romantic, the way things are explained is romanticized, basically, you will be able to understand what I'm saying here. This form of journaling is whereby you describe things in a more detailed and romanticized way. I did this only once, and that's because I'm not the best at writing. I try, but it doesn't always come naturally to me, describing things, that is. And I was in upcountry in Meru, and it was a morning before my cousin's funeral. I remember sitting outside on the grass, and I just decided to kind of describe what was going on in the air. And it was the best paragraph I've ever written to date in my journal. And I just love it so much, but I find it so hard to do. Maybe if you're more versed with writing, or you're just better at doing descriptions, you can pick this up. Just pick something about your life in the moment and write about it in a romanticized way. Like, describe things with more detail, with more beauty, with more description, and give them a life. If you've read romantic or gothic literature, you can be able to understand what I'm saying, because most of these books of the 1800s and the 1900s were written in this kind of style, where the writers really just described things properly. You can even use like old English, like thine, thy, thou. I mean, if you feel like going there, that's up to you. No one is restricting you. It's your journal. Do your thing. The next one is kind of similar to the last one, but different in a sense. It is short story journaling. Basically, every single journal entry is a short story. And I recommend this one if you're trying to practice writing, if you're trying to get better at writing. Write your journal entries as short stories. Basically, since you don't have to journal every day, you just need to journal when you feel the need to put something down. So instead of putting it down as I today this happened, this and this happened, I did this, that, and the other. Give yourself a name, make yourself a character, give your scenery a different name, give your location a different name, give your friends different names, and try and now describe exactly what happened in your life, but now in the view of a different character. You are not actually writing and creating a short story, which is false. You're actually just writing your life, but in the scene of a short story. You can even change the landscape just so that it can fit the vibe of the short story which you're going for, but keep the details of your life intact. Like, keep the detail about the day, the details about what's happening constant, so that when you look back at it, it's actually an honest journal entry, except for the fact that you've changed a few things to make it interesting. And I feel like with this one, it's so fun because you can give every single entry a different title. Every single entry can be a different short story. You don't have to take one character and be that character for every single entry. Like, every entry, just choose a different character, and maybe you can have like a key at the bottom where you have the name of the character to show who they describe. I feel like it's an easy way for you to make your journal more secret if you're usually afraid of people reading your journal. And I unconsciously did this when I was about, I think, 12 years old. And my mom actually, at that time, just a quick short story. At that time, I was very interested in becoming a writer, and I used to mention it to my mom a lot. I'd tell her, "Mom, I really want to be a writer. I want to write." And she used to see me writing in this big book. She did not know that was my journal, but she always thought that was a story I was writing. And yes, I used this form of journaling to journal about my actual life. So that one day I came back from school and I was journaling on the couch and then I fell asleep. And when I woke up, I could hear familiar words being spoken. And I woke up to find the whole family seated around, like seated on the couch. Everyone is in the sitting room. Quiet, pin drop silence ruled the room. And my mom was reading out of my journal. She was reading my journal out loud to the family. That is one of the most traumatic events of my life. That was actually so scary. I remember waking up, finding her reading my journal, and immediately running to the loo. And I cried for some time. And they were still reading. So I was like, how insensitive of them. Why are they reading my journal? And then that's when I heard the words which she was speaking. And I realized she was actually reading the part where I'd written it as if it was a story. It was actually my life. But I had changed the scene so much that they could not really understand that they're reading about themselves. They're reading about my life and how they interact with me as a 12-year-old at that time. And I feel like that protected me from a lot of exposure, vulnerability, shame, maybe, because you never want someone reading a journal. And yeah, that is one of the traumatic events of my life, which I've never actually forgotten. And I feel like this form of journaling protected me in that moment. Because my mom was like, oh, let's just read the story my daughter has been writing and see how she's progressing. Maybe in the moment she was like, this feels so similar to our lives, but let me not judge. She's picking inspiration from her life, maybe. Pick it up and see. Who knows? You might just save yourself from a lot of unnecessary vulnerability or shame, or I don't want to call it shame because it should not be shame. I need to take a swig. Number seven is a common one actually. It is known as bullet journaling. Bullet journaling is just basically journaling through lists. You have bullet points, you have lists for every single month, every single week. And I feel like it's most effective for goals, goal tracking, and just keeping track of things which you want to keep up with. That's kind of redundant, but yeah. You can have like the title for the month, maybe April at the top, and then you have reading goals and you have your TBR there. You can have maybe workout goals, you have your list there, like having lists basically, different lists for whatever you want to do. Maybe there's movies you want to watch, maybe there's things you want to do. It's an easy way for you to keep noting down the basics of each month. You can even have quote of the month, lesson of the month, but I feel like it's very boring. That's what I think. It's very boring. I mean, it's colorful in terms of like how you can use different colors to have codes for different things, like different colors to shade the different bullet points. You can also like represent so many things through bullet journaling. Like there's this one I saw for mood tracking where you have different colors representing different moods, and you can actually track your mood from the first day of the year to the last day of the year. And I mean, it is tedious because you have to remember to actually put in and log it in every single day, which I feel like is one of the reasons why I don't really like it, because I like to have journaling as an intuitive activity, but I feel like you can design it in such a way that you do not have to log things every single day. Maybe 2 or 3 times a week, like just fit it to your schedule and try and make it work for you. But personally, I don't like it because the time I tried it, it just did not work, and it did not fulfill the purpose of journaling for me. I was not learning about myself, I was not becoming any better. I was just ticking things off or not ticking things off, which made me feel worse about myself. So this is, I feel like it's for whoever feels like they like it. Some people might like this idea, so I'll not discredit it. Just it's not for me personally. But bullet journaling is a really, really nice form of journaling if you want to keep up with your lists. Like if you are someone who loves lists and you like taking things off, try bullet journaling for sure. And I love the versatility because you can have lists on anything. anything and everything, like literally so many different formats of having lists and so many different formats of decorating. It can really awaken your artistic side because every single month, like you have the page for April, so you have to decorate April. Maybe you have a theme for each month. It's a really creative one. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I might want to try it one last time. Who knows? The next one is journaling for future historians. I actually really like this form of journaling. Before I even say I like it, let me explain what it is. Journaling for future historians is literally journaling for future historians. Wow, Lily, that helped so much. Basically, it's journaling as if your journal is going to be used to study history in the future. We do not know much about the past because governments have changed what we know. Like some details about the past are hidden or kind of twisted to fit a certain narrative, to fit leaders in a certain way, and to fit social norms of the time. So many details about the past, we do not really know the full account of how they went. We don't know the full truth of how things in the past actually were. We just know what is documented on Wikipedia and on popular channels and what we are told in our history classes. But I feel like it's our job to preserve history through our own lives. And you can easily journal for future historians by just including historical details in what you journal. A good example of this is my 2020 journal. I was looking through it, and at that time, I was just journaling about what was going on. But every single day, I used to write the number of new reported COVID cases. I used to write how many people have died, how many have been cured. Like, I used to write those details which used to come on the news because I don't know. I just used to do it. And I feel like right now, looking back at that, I am able to kind of get a clearer picture of how the times were. I used to write my daily routines being stuck at home during COVID, and it can help to tell a bigger story. And I feel like so many times we journal and we record our history for the future without even knowing it. But now when you do it consciously, you're able to add little itty bitty details which don't even make sense to anyone right now but might make sense in the future. Like you can literally just write the price of eggs right now because in a few years that will be so different, and you might be reading that same journal in 10 years and you're like, the price of eggs was 15 shillings per egg. Eggs are now 50 shillings per egg or one bob, though I think inflation always goes higher, not lower. I don't really know, but these small details can just make the past more understandable, which is your current, your present is the past of the future. So yeah, you get what I'm saying. I find it so interesting also as I'm journaling. Sometimes I'm like, what if this journal is picked up 100 years from now by a stranger? In that case, hi stranger. I kind of try and make it a trippy moment for whoever will be reading my journals in the future because I do intend to donate them. Should I get into that? Maybe not, maybe another day, but I kind of intend to donate my journals. Not donate, but to pass them down to I don't know who, but that has to be when I'm dead and gone, so that no one is there to come back and question me about anything that I wrote. Anyways, journaling for future historians, a really, really fun method. You can add details about politics, add details about things on the news, especially if you're someone who's interested in history. This is a perfect one. I've never been too interested in it, but I have some level of interest in history. So I try and put in details in my journals, details about the times, details about politics that's going on in our country, economy, details about trends. These things are going to be used to study the future, to study the past in the future. So just small, small details, small, small details. You never know. Maybe your journal might be the ultimate guide to the 2020s or to the era or to the 21st century. I don't know. Just write things, add details from the present to help people in the future. Number 9 is mixed media journaling. It can also be called scrap journaling, I think, or scrapbook journaling. But this is kind of different because I feel like for scrapbook journaling, you're usually just sticking scraps of, maybe you went to a concert, you stick your concert wristband, you stick your tickets, whatever it is that is physical media, you just stick it onto the page. But by mixed media journaling, I mean literally all these methods I've mentioned, put them in one place, except of course the ones which are auditory or video kind of journaling. But all these other methods like comic book journaling, poetry journaling, journaling, romantic journaling, story journaling, mixed media journaling is basically now a conglomeration of all of those. Just draw a comic here, decide, no, I want to actually write a poem here. No, actually want to stick something. Bring it, stick it right there. Like journaling is supposed to be fun. And when you take the fun out of journaling, you will not keep up with it. Like you will not find the energy to keep up with an activity which you do not enjoy. So mixed media is really for those people who are messy minded and you want to bring that mess onto the page. It's so interesting, it's so fun. There's this one spread I did after I moved out last year and came back to my parents' house. And whenever I look at it, it was actually the spread is actually made from stickers which I had in my room. And looking back at it right now, I'm able to remember how the place was. I'm able to just see how I was feeling. I even wrote there the song I was listening to as I was journaling, so it kind of brings context. But then that's another thing, like whenever you're journaling, just write a song if you're listening to something at the moment, because maybe later when you're reading through it you want to have that same mood, you just play the song and it's like, oh, I'm kind of in the moment right now. The last form of journaling that I have for you guys is mind map journaling, and this one is really easy and fast for people who do not like to spend 30 minutes journaling. You just want to take 5 minutes. This one is the easiest I can think of. You just draw a circle at the center of your page, write the topic. It can be the date of it can be the day and the date. It can be your hobbies. It can be your weaknesses. It can be your likes. It can be your dislikes. Whatever topic you want to explore about yourself, about life, whatever it is, have it in the center. And then you just draw arrows outwards, connecting different things. If you are a visual learner, it really helps. If you're trying to figure out things that you like, it's a really easy visual method, because mind mapping is actually a study method. So you can use it to journal. Like maybe you have the day and the date, and then you write 6 a.m. What did I do? How did I feel about that? 7 a.m. Just literally listing details about your day, listing details about whatever it is you wanted to journal about. The thing is, it can just be a bit, I don't want to say boring to look back at, because personally I prefer forms of journaling which are fun to read back. And I feel like the for this method, when you look back at it, it just feels so shallow. You're just like 6 a.m., read a book, went back to sleep, woke up 7. It's just a bit boring. Unlike other forms of journaling where you actually feel like it's the rereading of the journal is more interesting than the writing of it. Sometimes when you're journaling, you're like, you know what, in a few months I will be so excited to read this. So let me add flair, let me add detail, let me add a little bit of suspense. Or maybe I'm the only one who does that. But yeah, I just find that for this one, it's not really interesting to look back at. So for me, it's not something that I would really engage in, but that is what this video is for. This video is for exploring different journaling methods which you might not have tried before, but which might actually be for you. So if you got to this point in the video, comment a pen or a journal or a book or something journal related, and I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you loved the tips. I hope you'll try some of them, and yeah, make your life a little more interesting. Like document your life, because in the future you will love to look back. Like you will actually love to look back. You know how they say sometimes when someone is about to take a photo of you, you're like, don't take a photo of me. I don't look good right now. I'm not properly showered and all that. But later in the future, if someone took a photo of you in that state, you'd kind of appreciate that. You'd appreciate seeing yourself in that raw form, in that imperfect form, in that human form. So journal, okay? Journal. And looking back, you'll be so happy to have a recollection of who you are in the past. Like, who isn't happy when they see their baby pictures where they were making a mess of something on the floor and they were screaming and they just looked so messy?